Welcome back to another exciting episode of Fore Dads Podcast. Today we have a very special guest, a good friend, someone that was a real motivator for me when I was in the golf industry. We have Patrick Shea, who is the CEO and founder of Upside Golf. Very excited to have you here, man. Like I said, when I first met you when you were working with Zepp and you came by Boulder Ridge, I remember telling Andy after you left, I was like, I want to be like that guy. Like, that dude looks like he loves everything that he touches, everything he's super enthusiastic about. Yeah. Like, I just remember being like, man, like, I think I even reached out to you at one point. It was just like, hey, is Zepp hiring? Like, I'd love to work alongside you. And yeah, man, we've had several run-ins, times where I was caddying over at the Institute, just run into each other at San Jose Country Club. I think we also saw each other at Almaden a few times. But I've always been super drawn to like what you do, what you represent, and I'm just super happy to have you here. This is Teeds. Teeds is a longtime friend of mine. We both grew up kind of playing college baseball together.
What's Teeds short for?
My last name Tiedemann. So it's hard. Like, when you're chanting someone's name, it's two syllables, not as intimidating as one. And so
sure.
It just stuck. And a lot of people mispronounce my last name, so I just go with that anyway.
Actually, it reads Tides.
I know. It reads that way. That's the downside.
You're like, dude, I'm right in the middle.
It fits perfectly because he gets tied in between which club he wants to hit into par fives all the time. He's like, should I send it or should I lay up?
You send it.
There's water on the left, then I'm missing right.
Unless you're at Augusta. Then,
which, just to break away, guys, we have our Fore Dads hats that are now out. We have our Masters edition that we are rocking here. Please hit us up and we'll make sure to send you one for sure. And I know we got to send you one. We got to send you one. When we get out there to Carmen Valley Ranch with you, we'll bring you all the swag.
I'm on the back nine of being a dad, though,
it never stops. It's still a huge.
You guys, how old are your kids?
Mine is 6 months.
One for me.
Oh shit! I'll see you guys in 18 years.
So let's go ahead and start off and tell us a little bit about yourself, Patrick. And just do you prefer Patrick or Patty?
I have no control over what I'm called. For a long time, I was called. When I kind of got into the golf industry, I had a PR person when I started one of my first companies, Paddy O'Shea. And so most people know me as Paddy O'Shea. And so there's derivatives of that. I was called Shea mostly as a kid. So yeah, it all works. Patty, PJ, Patty,
I like Patty.
O'Shea, Shea, asshole.
Yeah, there you go. Tell us a little bit. Tell us a little bit about yourself. I'm very interested in learning, how did you come up with Upside? I mean, I use your products religiously. I promote them to everyone I run into at the course. Yeah. People are always amazed by it. Like, how did it come about?
Well, I actually started a company back in '99. And so I had done this before. Back then, there was no internet. When I invented this product, it was a golf product. And I literally rented a white panel van. I loaded that up and I went up and down the West Coast cold calling golf courses and just showed up at the door. I'm talking, it was back like, that's what you did. So I was a grinder. Man. People complain today about how difficult it is to sell, but I didn't know any other way. But It was great. Like I got to go to this brand new golf course called Bandon Dunes. They actually put me up. They put all this product in there.
Wow.
In their bunker bar. So to make a long story longer, I had some experience. I've been in golf forever. I've been on the product side. I just got done with this tech company called Zepp Labs, which is a sensor that you wore on your glove. Actually, Here it is right here. And it sent wireless data. It was a Chinese company. I worked with these people, and we had funding it was a great experience. I got to go on tour for 6 months, and I got paid, which was great because I'm normally used to being an entrepreneur. And then that ended kind of abruptly, and I did some other work. But in the meantime, this is back in 2017. I was thinking, no one's put a magnet in a rangefinder.
For whatever reason,
And there was the guy that did that put magnets on the wrap thing, Monument, I think, which it's a great product.
Yeah,
I think it's still strong, and you see some iterations of that, and of course he's been copied, and just like I have my entire life with every product I've ever made. But so it started there, and so I did some Frankenstein designs, but like I took a rangefinder that I beat up. I don't know if you can see this or not, but this was some of the original stuff, and then ended up, paying for a mold and creating the first rangefinder with a magnet. And I filed a provisional patent on it just because I knew somebody would probably say something, which did happen. And then everybody did it, and then I followed that up with a speaker with a magnet, and the thing is, it's like a Tonka truck. This has really been one of my best selling items. It's good, legit, and I also have the big one as well, which is this mega one. But the key is on all my magnets is they're neodymium, and you just can't have stuff falling off. Mm-hmm. And so, in fact, the first rangefinder I had, the magnet was so strong that it was literally breaking. Like it was breaking. It was just too strong. So I had to redo that design. And then my latest design is this. Yeah. It's the, hold on, I got here. This is the latest and greatest. But the point of it was I've been in golf and finding products for my buddies, and that's really how it started. I wanted to get products to my buddy at a wholesale price versus that $400 and $500 ticket.
Of course. And
another thing that kind of stung was when I was doing the other company that I had that I ran from it's a game called Golo. It's a golf dice game, and I had a game company. It's this drinking, gambling dice game. You can look it up. It's still around. I licensed that product off, so I still own the rights to it. But I lost my train of thought, actually. I'm sorry.
Well, hey, I got a quick question for you. In terms of like creating or just adding the magnet to the rangefinder, what do you think was the issue? Why other people didn't do it? Was it because the magnet was throwing off like the distance or whatever? Like computers in it?
No, that was my first fear. That's why I made that Frankenstein model I showed you. Mm-hmm. And so I put super strong magnets around it. Does not affect a laser at all. So it just hadn't been done. Wow. Most ideas, a lot. I'm a highly ADHD guy, like undiagnosed but diagnosed, and I have thousands of ideas, and 99.9% of them have either been done or they're bad. And so I run through them a lot. I try to shoot holes, but this was an idea that just hadn't been done. And so, but there's really no way you can patent a magnet in anything. So it's just a matter of time. And then from there, it's just been, for me, a love of being able to find products that I think are worthwhile, worth using, quality. Now, I'd say I'm at a point in my business where I really love everything I have. There was a time where I had some products that didn't quite fit or they weren't up to my quality or my standard, but they all are now. I'm pretty happy with everything that I'm offering, but that's just it. I won't introduce anything that I think is worth using.
Right. Yeah, man. No, I said, I used to rock a Bushnell, and then once I saw that your stuff had come out, I tossed it. Didn't even think twice about it. Tossed it, got it, and I was like, I love this thing, and it grabs everyone's attention. I didn't use the green cover on the first one, so literally you just hear it smack up against the I got against the railing on the
well, that was part of the issue. But listen, Bushnell makes great products.
Yeah.
I mean, they always have.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, for me now I know what I was getting at with that with Golo is I wanted to offer wholesale product with Golo. There's an issue when you start wholesaling into golf clubs, or I was selling into Target, Barnes and Noble, Borders, Kmart at the time, and Fry's Electronics. I couldn't get paid. They would hold my money. I had to. There's a couple companies I had to sue.
Wow.
But imagine like being a small business and having like a $90,000 payables and not being able to get it. I mean, it just shuts you down. So that was the whole point of the upside was, no, I'm not selling direct anymore. I'm going to just wholesale product. That's the middleman savings direct, just like you're doing with your hats.
Right.
Exact same thing, which is brilliant, and it's like, why not take care of your people? And which is, and in turn, they appreciate that. I think you go out and find cool products that, whether it's a hat or really anything, a rangefinder, people appreciate that.
Definitely.
Right.
So, leading into another part of that, like you've been, you mentioned this already, you've been in the golf industry for a long time. You've seen a lot of changes. I have. In your time, even when you were a player, because you're a Bronco, right? You went to Santa Clara. Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I remember
you. Your research team is killing it.
Yeah, man, I'm a salesman by day and I'm a podcaster by night. So gotta know who your customer is. You're a
hustler.
I mean, in that time, like, what has been the one thing that has stuck out to you the most, and kind of the way that, in the direction, I guess, in which golf has gone now?
Oh, the one thing that has stuck out the most, Tiger Woods.
Yeah, he revolutionized the whole game.
Well, I was coaching at Santa Clara University, and we were out at Stanford my first year, and he was playing. And there was a buzz about him. I mean, and he didn't, by Tiger standards, he didn't have this killer college career, but he didn't care about, I shouldn't speak for him, but he wasn't worried about college golf tournaments. He was worried about the majors. He was worried at the time, the amateurs, and but what he did in that whole time, that era, I mean, then I was working at a golf course. I went from, basically I graduated from Santa Clara. I worked for 2 years in insurance, and I just was one of those kids that became disillusioned with, like, what am I doing? I don't love what I'm doing. And I had met with a guy who was much older than me, probably 30 years older than me, who said, go do something you love. And that's how I got into golf. But it just blew up. Like, I mean, I can remember opening a golf course in my 20s and getting to the course I was opening at. Like, you had to get there at 4:45 as a public course, because the first tee time was the crack of dawn, and it took, you had to get there and make coffee, and you had to get stuff up and running. And there was a line of cars, man, in the late 90s. I am not shitting you. There was a line of cars that went back, like it was anywhere from 10 to like 30 cars deep, and people would get in because they couldn't get tee time. So they would want to get on a waiting list. It was insanity, more than it is today. But what Tiger Woods did for the game. So that would be my answer.
Yeah. The Tiger effect is real, man.
Yeah. I mean, and it still is. Can you imagine? I was just telling my wife this. Even if he contends, what's going to happen this weekend? I mean, I'm so excited right now. As you know, we all have the Augusta tingles going on, right?
Of
it's
course.
Just like, I watched the par 3 today.
Yep,
I watched it just watching every single interview. I watched Ridley's interview, the question and answer. It's just, I mean, Man, if he even moves, people are going to lose their minds.
It's insane.
He could do it though. He could do it.
It is. And I saw a picture on Twitter. It was insane. It was the 18th hole from 2000. I think was it 2005, his first Masters win? Whatever the first Masters win that he had. It was
sooner than that.
It was sooner than
97. Yeah.
Well, maybe the picture was 98. From 2005. Anyway, he was he was on the 18th hole, and it was just showing the Sunday, the crowd, right? The crowd with the tee shot and everything, and it was packed. And then it showed this is, I think it was either yesterday or today on the 18th hole, and it was even bigger crowd than it was on the Sunday when he won it like 20 plus years ago. And it's just insane, just for a practice round, and like the shape that he's in, you know, obviously compared to what he was then. His body's changed so much with all the surgeries and everything, and he's not able to, you know, walk as comfortably and swing like he wants to. But it's just crazy to see anytime Tiger is at a tournament, you will know. You just follow that big crowd, and you will know where he is. Like
so here's a good question. Here's a good question for you guys, because it's going to date me. But what's your favorite Masters moment? Like, what's a moment where you watched Masters and you lost your shit? Like. And everybody that I talk to has this, where you just have a moment in your head, and it could be a shot, could be a putt, could be a certain win, and everybody kind of has favorites. But in your mind, and I want to hear this from both you guys.
Well, I mean, I know for me, I still remember this, and I always tell people, I forget what year it was, whatever year he beat, who was the guy from Florida Gators, DeMarco?
Chris DeMarco,
when he beat DeMarco and he had that chip in, you know, that slow one that set on this. I still remember sitting with. I didn't watch too much golf.
With the Nike logo ball.
Exactly. So I remember. I didn't.
In your life. I think that was it, right?
Yeah, that was it. I was watching with my dad. We didn't watch too much golf. You know, it was baseball or football, but we had the Masters on, and I still remember him chipping it, and he chipped it maybe like 20 yards to the left on the top of the ridge, and I remember just saying to my dad, "That's a terrible chip." You know, why is he chip? Like, I'm probably like 11, 12 years old at the time. I'm like, that's a terrible chip. And surely enough, it just slowly, just gradually rolls. I'm like, oh my. And I still remember watching. I'm like, oh my gosh, that seriously just happened. And then it stopped at the end. And then it finally trickled in. But like, that's definitely the Masters moment that I remember. And I will always remember, just with my dad and my grandpa. It's just crazy.
Not to piggyback off of that one, but like, that's probably one of the biggest ones for me as well. Cause I remember, you know, I'm very similar to John. My whole, anytime that I had free time, my dad and I were either working out, going to go play baseball, getting ready for football, whatever it was, like something, we were doing something all the time. So I remember sitting down with him, and that was one hell of a moment. I mean, just watching that shot, I was like,
yeah. So I'm the same as
my dad. Like, I didn't know golf was so exciting. Like, that's cool. But to second that, like one that really comes to my mind, Masters moment. It's a heartbreaking moment, but where Willett ends up winning because Jordan had that blow up hole. That was one that just every time I think of like what's a memorable moment, I think of that one. How Jordan was in so much control that entire tournament. Comes down to the last hole or to the 16th hole and just blows it. And then Daniel Willett wins, and everyone still is like, "Who's Daniel Willett?" Like, you shouldn't even have won. That's another one.
Well, that's like the Larry Myers chipping in on Norman, right?
Oh my gosh,
there's so many of those actually. But you gotta remember, I just don't think people realize the amount of pressure and stress they're under. I mean, we do as, and I played a bit professionally, but these guys are playing for their lives and then for their reputation and for history. Mm-hmm. So if you don't think they care, I mean, and one little hiccup, one bad swing, because then doubt starts creeping in. And these guys, I mean, it's so easy. That's why we watch, though. Mm-hmm. Remember the year Rory made like 10 on 10? Yeah, he was leading the tournament, and then what kind of pisses me off is the PGA doesn't like they cut off guys playing bad, which I think would be great for ratings if you watch.
Of course, the amount of people that watch it that don't play or are just like those couch coaches are like, oh man, I could have made that.
But but the European PGA Tour does that. I do like watching them. They'll play bad stuff.
Yeah.
But for me, the reason why I bring it up, because you guys are obviously younger than me. But I had the exact same experience with my dad when I was 17, watching Jack Nicklaus on the back nine win the Masters in '86 as a 46-year-old, I think he was, 47-year-old, the oldest guy at the time. It was just the most mind-blowing. I like to this day, I get chicken skin just talking about that nine he had. I think he shot 30.
Jeez.
And I would encourage people to just go watch that, because they have it on YouTube. You go watch the back nine of the Masters of Jack Nicklaus winning in '86. I mean, and don't get me wrong, I think Tiger Woods, I'm a huge fan. And obviously I got to meet him as a young coach, but I just always, I'm a fan of greatness. You have to respect it. So
even today,
it's just crazy when you think about Tiger's. Like Tiger's 47. If you say Jack won it at 46, and I mean, you would know better than I, but it doesn't seem like, especially back then, there weren't that many successful surgeries big surgeries that you could do and then come back on. It was
look at Ben Hogan. I mean, he's a perfect example of a guy that got into a car wreck, was done, and did the same thing. And he was like the Messiah. The guy came back in ticker tape parade, won the Open. I mean, it's very similar and it's eerie. Like I could see him. And then I know in 19 he did this. And I think if he never won again, I think he's kind of getting to a point you can see him settling.
Yeah. Especially with Charlie growing up and everything and being a dad.
But if anybody could win at like 55,
right?
I mean, I can't remember. It was like Sam Snead one time, I think, contended at a really old age back then. Yeah. But look at Phil, man, 51. He won the PGA. I mean,
that was nuts.
And by the way, can we talk about Phil? Is he okay?
He looks so thin and frail. It's kind of.
Well, he also, I'm hearing reports that he didn't say anything at the dinner, but for him to not be talkative, usually when you're not talkative, you're ill or you're not feeling good.
Right, you're all there. Right.
And I don't think he's walking around with any sort of live chip on his shoulder, but I don't know, man. I mean,
no, he doesn't.
I
saw the highlights of him at the tournament in Orlando, and he doesn't. Something just doesn't look right. But I think the reason for him being so quiet at the dinner and why the reports are coming out is because he's kind of seen the true characters of how the PGA's kind of turned their backs on him after everything he's kind of done for them.
Oh yeah, I kind of agree. I kind of agree with you. I mean, we can get into it. I've never, I've done some posts. I was at the, I'm friends with Justin. I've known the kid since he was a little kid. He was at my club. I knew his dad. So I was on the range and I noticed it at Pebble, they were cranking tunes. And so I said,
that's what Billy was saying.
I did a video and I was like, hey, my only point is competition's good. And as a PGA pro, I've just watched the PGA Tour hasn't let any of these guys, they don't own any of their rights. So, I think at the end of the day, what's going to come out of this is he's a bit of a martyr for a lot of guys. But look at what's happened to the tour, how much better it's gotten. The one thing I've always said my entire life, I'm friends with so many journeymen that played either a year, 9 years, 8, whatever, and they had nothing to fall back on. And
that's scary.
And but my opinion has always been, if you make the tour, you should get $500,000 or a chunk of money, because my story on it's like you let's say that Julio, you make the tour, I'm your caddy. We go play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We miss the cut, but there's a layover till Saturday morning. What's that whole week cost?
Oh, yeah. Man. expensive
flights, and then and you make nothing. Like you,
Well, I mean, to kind of deep
nothing.
dive into that, I think Full Swing really kind of touched on that, where everyone was talking about like there's like that 60 cut, right? Where if you don't make that, you literally make $0. If you don't hit that top 60, you will go home with nothing, and it's a very real thing. And I remember back in 2000. It had to have been like 2013, 2014, where Callaway did a special on YouTube where they did a documentary where they followed some of their upcoming Korn Ferry sponsors. And they showed the real life struggle of what these guys went through, where one guy was literally going around in between rounds, in between sessions, and just saying like, hey, for next week's tournament, are you flying or are you going to drive? Like, can I commute with you? Like, I'll give you half. Can we book a room together? And they would have 7 dudes all laying in the same room who all went to college together, who competed together, just to get through to like the weekend. And
jeez.
Well, so listen, I get that on the Korn Ferry. Like, I totally get that. But if you ever travel and get inside the ropes and all, like the tour, it's the show. It's the big time. So the changes I think that they've made are a testament to Live, and these guys.
I agree.
But the cool thing is you can kind of start to see them come together a little bit. I think the Live Tour guys miss the tour, no question.
Right.
The tour guys, think about this. Here's another thought. I don't know if anyone said this to you guys, but all the black hats left to Live.
No.
You know what I mean by that? You know what I mean by black hats? All the bad guys. All the bad guys. And so the tour's like milk toast right now.
All the pretty boys and stuff like that. Not like a Brooks Koepka,
just the yes men and the I call them the Applebee's guys and the plaid and the sorry, not the plaid pants, but in the khakis. And the tiny Jordan Speed, I call them yarmulke hats with the bill. I got a buddy of mine. It's just. I mean, tell me I'm wrong, but I think that's what they're missing, and I think they're missing each other. I just heard. Did you guys hear that they're going to? Which I love. I've heard this for like the last month that they're going to.
So I thought that was an April Fool's thing.
They are,
because that dropped. So.
Oh really? So a month ago I heard that Fensham said that they're thinking of doing a Live versus Tour event.
I would love it if it was real, but I know Julio sent me something on April Fool's. I saw so many people try and make something.
This was a month ago that I saw.
No, that's good. I like to hear that. I like that it's not April Fool's.
I would pay to watch that event.
Who wouldn't? Yeah. Any golf fan would love to watch that.
And you kind of you say what, exactly, and say what you want about Reed, but we kind of love to hate the guy, don't we?
Of course, and you need someone to hate. Who do you
Johnny
Manziel
of golf in one of our past podcasts?
Yeah, he's getting he got kicked out of Georgia, for drinking or whatever.
Johnny Manziel ever did he cheat?
But I mean, under the table, probably.
Everybody calls him, everybody calls him like the rock star of Tennessee, and kind of how his career just kind of went to crap. So we were saying like, hey, he left because everyone started hating on him. Even when he won the Masters, I think everyone was still just like, why? Why is this guy even here?
Well, he brought a lot of that on himself, but I'll tell you, so there's a guy I have met and hung out with a bit. He's a great guy, is Pat Perez. Like, you cannot blame that guy for taking a bag of money at age 48.
Pat Perez is super happy.
Yeah.
I mean, what would you do? Ian Poulter. I mean, the guy, I love Poulter, and people, they hate him, or, I mean, he's a black hat guy that has kicked our ass in the Ryder Cup. Maybe the best Ryder Cup player of all time. I love the guy's style. I love his bravado. He's got, his hero was Payne Stewart.
And it shows with his outfit, that's for sure.
They call him the Payne Stewart of the UK, but I mean, I loved all that stuff. That's what we're missing. And anyway, it's great to see it this week, because it's been about an 8-month drought.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. Yeah, I mean, it's been a
starting
while.
from the PGA. I think is when this.
Right. and I know that a lot of guys, I think it was it Brooks and Rory, they were talking that like they see each other at the courses in Florida and they hang out, they talk, they don't have any issues, there's no ill will. And I think same with Cam Smith. And he's like, it's just something that the media brings up and tries to, obviously the media is they thrive on negativity, and that's what, makes people make irrational comments, make people, react certain ways and get those reactions.
You're talking only golf, right?
Heck no. It sells everywhere. Where doesn't it sell?
Well, how about the whole cyclonic weather bomb or
oh man,
it's just weather has turned into Fox News.
It's insane, but I mean, like, it's just crazy because to them, it's just like one of their guys that left, and yeah, there could be some ill will for some guys that left, like maybe a Cam Smith that had a big opportunity to have an amazing career on the PGA Tour, just won the Open. He's only, going up and up. And compared to like an Ian Poulter where it's like, hey, if I was 45, 50 and I was at the tail end of my career and I got thrown a bag of cash for my family to make sure that I was going to be set for life compared to a PGA where it's not so guaranteed, why wouldn't you take it?
Also, I don't know if you heard his interview. I thought the one thing I love about him, he's so transparent. He's like, look, I get to spend more time with my friends, my family. I don't regret it at all. He's kind of more of a happy-go-lucky dude, but I don't know. You see all these people that now, because of COVID, don't want to go into work and they want to work from home, and I don't know what's happened to the world of golf that doesn't have compassion for PGA Tour players. It's weird to me, the vitriol, because as a PGA professional, it's weird to see people, and I get it. I'm a fan of the PGA Tour, but to be rooting for the tour over the player, it's weird to me. It doesn't make sense because those are the workers. Those are the guys that are busting their balls. And I think at the end of the day, what's going to come out is, and look, who knows, if the LIV is like any other organization, like the USFL or, they probably won't be around in another 2 years.
Right. And I mean, you see people think that the PGA Tour is kind of like the NFL where they have contracts. Well, obviously they don't have contracts. The only contracts that they might have is sponsors, and those aren't going to everybody. And the only way for them to make money is to play. And so obviously they're contractors compared to actual players in the NFL, in the MLB, in the NBA that do have guaranteed contracts. So if they get injured, boom, they're covered. If you get injured on the PGA Tour, unless you have a sponsor, you're not getting any money. You're not seeing anything.
That's what everybody says to me. It's like, hey, you make the tour, you make all the sponsor money. No, you don't.
That's like the top cream of the crop, you know? And
no, people have no idea what's going on. And the tour's done a great job of that. At the same time, they also, being on tour is fantastic. You feel like a celebrity. They actually also cover you. Anything goes wrong socially, they do PR-wise. They do a phenomenal job.
Great PR team
covering your ass. So
I got to protect the shield or whatever they call it, right? You got to do whatever you can.
Back to back to the whole Phil situation. Like, I really think that one of the biggest things is he's lost respect for everyone. I mean, the whole players committee that now Tiger and Rory are presidents of, he's been telling everyone for years, like, we need to kind of adjust things to kind of grow and retain our fan base. And all of a sudden he leaves, and here comes Tiger and Rory saying they're going to start their own league as a side thing. They're going to do all this other stuff. Now they're open to competing against LIV. And I think,
and it's approved. And it's approved by PJ after Phil, it's kind of got the backlash.
I kind of understand where he's coming from. I mean, I think you're right. Part of it is like to me, before all the shit went down, Phil was the Arnold Palmer.
I agree with that 110%.
Taking over the reins. He's given so much of himself. And he's probably like, what the fuck do I have to show for it now? Like, I gave my life to the tour. And I think, for Phil to leave, it says a lot.
Right.
That's what people aren't giving the guy credit for. And now they want to say he's an asshole. And then the whole Khashoggi money thing and which by the way, no one gave a fuck about. I mean, I shouldn't say nobody, but now everybody does. I feel like it's everybody's political now in Saudi Arabia, which by the way, Saudi Arabia had a lot of money in the tour. there were events. Rory was sponsored by
yeah. Don't bring that up. Don't bring that up.
Saudi-backed money. But why can't
Yeah.
I'm not?
I know,
listen,
right?
Again, again, just like our country politically, I'm in the middle. I want common sense. What's best for the tour? I'm still a huge fan of the tour,
Right?
but I think what should have happened was, and still should happen, is that they should find a way to work with these great players that are still, I think, so great. Everybody's like, go fuck yourself. Like,
right. Especially when like their things go, what is it? They're, for like winning the Masters, you can play every year. You win the Open, you can play for like 6 or 7 years automatically before qualifying until all of those exemptions run out. When those majors come by, and a lot of them aren't going to have the top players in it. I mean, will they still? I feel like they'll lose a tiny bit of luster because you always have that asterisk. Well, you didn't play with everybody. And at least for the next year or so before people are like, oh, well, Cam Smith hasn't played that well because he's paid and he doesn't really care, compared to the PGA Tour where you just got to grind it out and do the best that you can because the better you play, the higher your ranking is going to be and the more money you'll make and things like that. But I don't know. I feel like when those exemptions run out, except for the Masters, it'll be interesting to see where we are with the PGA and with LIV. And if they let some people back or if they'll allow them to join just so fans want to watch Brooks Koepka, fans want to watch Bryson DeChambeau. It's another guy that people love to hate on, I mean, like, yeah. And so, like you said, it's very vanilla right now.
Look at another thing people don't realize is, Nicklaus broke off with the PGA of America, which I'm a member of, in 1968. And you know what he started? The PGA Tour. So, which, by the way, it's brilliant, but everything changes and things always have a way of working out.
Right.
Which I think that people need to have level heads in this whole thing.
People
That's
just
all
never
I'm saying. Like,
change. People just don't like change. I mean, look at we're both ex-baseball players. So we had a discussion about all the new rules to the MLB because they think it's going to drive money. It's like, from our perspective as players, it's like, we both think it's dumb, but we see the positive of like, you have a guy who's not throwing off your tempo. You can now fast pitch a guy and not be called for a balk.
Mm-hmm.
Were you guys any good at baseball? So when did your career end?
My career ended when I was 24 playing independent ball.
And Teeds, what about you?
I'd say 23.
Okay, how many hours did you both put into baseball?
24 to 8 from like 6 or 7 years old. That's what, or at least for me, maybe like 18 years.
Okay.
And I've been throwing a baseball since I stopped. Like,
so I have a podcast, as you know, Upside Golf.
Yeah.
But my entire life, I've had a chance to meet some great players, like and incredible athletes as well. But I've asked this one question. I say, if you can go back in time and whisper something to yourself when you were young, like one thing, it's a great question. And I want to hear your response to this, but every single baseball player that's now a golfer does what they say.
If I just would have golfed, I would have been a pro golfer, right?
Dude, play golf.
Oh no, go ahead.
It's just.
Oh no.
Yeah, go ahead. No. I'm curious what your answer is, though.
Mine.
I mean, you obviously, if you love baseball, and I get it. I don't want to take away from that, but a lot of guys love golf so much. My dad was played at Santa Clara, full ride, got drafted to the Orioles, didn't play, ended up becoming a lawyer, but he's so into golf. The second he flipped, once he quit baseball, which was right after Santa Clara, I mean, there's no question he would have gone back and just played golf. Mm-hmm. Like he's so addicted to it.
I think it's just because
are you that way?
I agree with that. I think the reason why, myself in particular, I was a pitcher, and you control the pace. You control the outcome of everything when you're on the mound. And in golf, that's exactly what it is. You're controlling every shot. You can't blame it on somebody else. It is 110% you all the time. You're dealing with the demon 6 inches between your ears. It's a game that demands confidence. You have to have the confidence in that swing, and you have to put aside all of the doubt in a matter of seconds before you set. Like, it's kind of like the old term, set and forget. Once you put that club down, forget it, get it, just go, do your thing, right? Fire away. To answer your question, if I were to go back and tell myself one thing, I don't think I would tell myself golf. I would tell myself to really sit down and focus more on what I'm trying to achieve. I felt like I was trying to achieve so many things early on in my career where it was like,
well, that's exactly. Just part of being young too, right?
Yeah.
Right. Your mind isn't mature.
You have no wisdom.
To quite understand like what really is taking, but even from a college perspective, I'm a very passionate person, and I always tend to take more on myself as a team player than I would being an I guy, as what we used to call, right? Is like,
what's it? Oh, I guy. Mm-hmm. Well, hey, Julio, there's no I in team.
There's an I in win. So, yeah.
There's an I in Julio.
That's exactly. and that's
God, Teeds. Yeah. There's an I in Teeds too.
Well, 100%. That's what I tell myself is focus on what it is that you want to do. Because I was never the smartest guy in the classroom. I got C's because I knew it got me by.
Wow.
And baseball.
You're an athlete.
I was the dude who did all the work when no one was looking. Even right now in my career, with the tech job I have now.
You were the Kobe of baseball.
But again, we have physical limitations as people too.
Okay, one more question though. If instead of baseball, if it was golf, would you be on tour? Would you be at the Masters right now?
No way.
No.
No way.
With that time?
Golf.
No
way.
If
I learned anything as
being
addicted to golf, like it is a very demanding sport. My parents didn't have a lot when we were growing up. Like I would have never been able to have the access to go and get, 4 buckets of like 100 golf balls, putting in rounds at a park. I wouldn't have the luxury of going to a country club and having it, 18 holes to myself.
Yeah, no, I get it.
I could go to an empty hole and just hit 100-yard shots.
I'm wondering though, the question is like, if you get 10,000 hours, do you have the talent and the brain? Some people, like if you started at age 7 and all you did was golf, like Rory McIlroy, right? Let's say you lived on a course. Could you have been that guy?
I think so.
I think there's a possibility. I mean, for me, answering the question, I whisper to myself, invest as much in Amazon as you can before the stock takes off. So I could afford everything, but no, like for me, if anything, I probably would have told myself to pitch in high school. I only pitched in college. I started at junior college. I played like first base, and I was the smallest first baseman ever, but I had an arm and I had an opportunity to pitch, and I did really well. It paid for my college education, so I didn't have to take out any loans. So it worked out, but I would have loved to dominate in high school if I would have had the opportunity. I just was scared to say like, hey, let me try it out. Let me pitch. But I don't know. I would have loved to golf, and I feel like that was right during the height of Tiger too for us, for Julio and I. We both graduated in 2009. So like that was right around Tiger's end of his run of like crazy, dominance. But I did play when I could, especially in college. I was a pitcher, so I didn't worry about my swing. But just like Julio, I was fortunate enough to live in San Luis Obispo at the time, and my parents got in when it was cheap, but not as expensive as it is now. And we didn't have a crazy amount. We were definitely middle class, but we didn't have too much that baseball allowed us to go farther. I felt like it stretched your dollar a lot farther, at least for baseball.
In your defense, in both your defenses, because now I've got an almost 18-year-old, a 21-year-old who I tried to get into golf, and I did to some extent. At the my youngest is playing on the varsity, and they both could have been great, but it's like you can lead a horse to water.
Yep.
What I've realized in my age is, because I ended up playing golf. The reason why I played golf is football was my sport. I loved it, and I was actually good. I was fast. I had hands, but I was like Rudy, man. And my freshman year at Bellarmine, I was 5'3" and 109 pounds. I still have my student body card that has my weight on it. Look at this. I shit you not. Dude, I was Farmer Ted. I was 82 and 83. I was just I can't believe I have that here. But I had no. So what I did was I ended up running cross country on accident with the varsity, and I was like, I hate running. So I ended up playing golf, but I didn't have a choice, and I was a competitor, and I wanted to compete. I got it from my dad, it was the only outlet for me to go try to beat people. And but I've said this, and I realized you have to be a weirdo. You got to be a little strange to be a kid that says, you know what?
Yeah,
because it's an adult sport. You're alone. You're alone a lot.
And quiet
with your thoughts, and so that's why I don't think it gets adopted early on. And that's why you get you get some pretty different kids that are playing the sport. It's not for everybody, and there's a discipline to it. So in your defense, it's also not cool because you want to be with your buddies. It's so much more fun with a team to be going out. And I mean, look at March Madness. My God, how right?
Or if you're over 21. I mean, if golfing over 21, you drink and everything, then it's fun. Then you're with your boys. But underage, yeah, it's definitely not the same.
Oh, and when you suck, you really suck. So anyway, I'm shedding some light, letting you feel, but it's still a great conversation. I think I like to have with the people I have on.
I mean,
it's a good question.
I don't know. I think now not that I think, I know now having a kid, it has given me another level of appreciation for golf because it is quiet time. It is kind of like the time that I get to meet, but also I've learned patience in the last 6 months with this game. I've learned to really be in the zone with every shot, right? Like, take away the small wins. Okay, maybe you didn't hit the shot that you envisioned, but it's in the fairway. There's always positive. You have a chance to score. If you get it close, make the next shot better. Where before I was always like, damn, I dwell on it. Like, oh, why didn't I do that? If I would have done that, I would have been way better.
I have a number of nieces, and I always tell them, like, date a golfer, because the truth is that we're constantly getting the shit kicked out of us. We really are. And I just think we are the best people because our expectations are so low.
That's a great
and so, but my point, Julio, is that you're learning patience. You're learning not to like break a club over your knee. You're managing emotions. You get into these real life situations, especially if you're playing with your buddies for money. You gotta learn to swallow your pride, your ego. There are moments where you're great, and so, but you realize, like, even when you're great, you're like, this could disappear tomorrow. So you're not, for most guys, I think you're not this, aloof asshole that's bragging and being a sore loser. I don't know.
I see your point.
I
agree with you. Totally, it makes.
Golf's made you a better father. That's what I'm saying.
So,
amen.
So, Patty, this has been awesome. I know we're getting down to time here. I want to ask you one last closing question. Who are your top 3 players that you're pulling for this weekend?
Ooh, gambling wise or heart wise?
You don't gamble with your heart?
I do on the dark horse.
Okay.
So I always have a dark horse bet that's a high odds guy, but then I have odds. I actually have a.
Let's just go with your heart. Who are the 3 top heart guys you're going for?
I'd love to see Keegan.
Oh, I love Keegan. Good dude.
I know Keegan, and I think he's just kind of America's guy, and I think he would be a great Masters winner. Who else? I like Thigala a lot. I like that kid. I love the way he interviews. I think I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. I think he'd also be a great winner, and I think he's on the verge of being great.
He's got a good game. Comes from a good family too, you know.
It seems like it. Yeah, I mean, this is from what you're watching. Boy, who else? I was looking at. So anytime I pick winners for the Masters, I go over guys that are good putters. And you can look through in the year. Right now, you can go to stats on PGAtour.com and you can look around the green. You can look at just putts. That's a great way to bet on guys.
Good tip.
Shane Lowry is a dark horse.
He's been good in the last few Masters as well. He's actually played really well at this tournament. So
and that's smart, Teeds, because you go back and you look at what guys have done in the last 5 years. He's a sleeper. Like
he really is.
How did Angel Cabrera?
That was the most random
Masters, and now the guy's serving time and
right. Oh,
I won't bring that up. But anyway, but I'm saying all these guys could putt. DeMarco, man, that guy could roll the frickin' rock. I think you're going to see especially because of what they've done to 13. I think you're going to see a lot of short game guys at the top of the leaderboard. So if I think Jordan, if he can putt and get out of his head, Rory would be a neat win just because I think he JT. I love JT. He's opinionated. And some people don't like him. He's kind of a black hat.
True.
His whole Ralph Lauren thing.
Right.
Which every one of us have said at some point under our breath, to be completely honest.
That was
no offense. I
mean, I was looking at the weather, and it's supposed to be pretty cold and pretty windy, and I was thinking, Morikawa,
low ball hitters.
I don't know if he's a low ball hitter, but Morikawa, the two majors he's won, it's been cold weather. He played in Northern California. He's used to the cold weather. He won in San Francisco. He won in the UK. Both cold events, and I'm just in some of my DraftKings, I picked him because I'm like, what?
You know what his odds are?
Off the top of my head, I don't.
So it's always the greatest thing about betting golf is that you get guys that are like 80 or 100 to 1 that can genuinely win.
Right.
You got a guy that's like 100 to 1 or even 150 to 1 and you got $50 on him. I mean, it's like,
well, like the crazy thing with Tiger, apparently there was a picture I saw and it showed all of the graphics of the odds for Tiger to win the Masters from like his whole career. And at 1 year, it was like 2003, 2004, he was like minus 150. When everyone else is like plus 200, plus 500, plus this. He was minus. He was like the only person ever to have like minus odds as like a PGA Tour. It's insane.
Well, what's crazy is his odds, and I bet on him. In 19, his odds were still, even though he was like, whatever he was, he had no business, but the bookies know you can't, to end this conversation and on a good kind of to answer your question, Tiger, how do you bet against him?
And you don't want to be that bookie that gives you the good odds.
But how do you not throw a 20 spot on him?
Why not?
I mean, because that guy, I think that guy, he has greatness in him. I mean, you can never bet against him. And look at all the. I watched those videos that there's a compilation video of all these guys saying he's done. Remember when he had the shanks and the yips, and people are like, he'll never come back.
Masters.
Oh my gosh.
Well, again, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for coming on.
Yes.
So much fun being with you guys.
We're excited. We'll connect, and we're excited to hopefully come out to Carmel Valley Ranch and hang out with you and play. Would love the opportunity. We both have never played it. We've only heard the greatness of it. So yeah.
So I'm gonna give you guys. I'm gonna do a Fore Dads
Oh,
coupon code for your listeners for 20% off
Ooh,
on the
wow.
Upside site. And then you guys let me know what products you need. Like the Thunder Sticks. There's some stuff I've got right now that's brand new. The Thunder Stick, the remote phone mount, and the rangefinder are pretty cool. But just let me know
take all three.
what you guys are interested in, and then you come out here and play with me.
Love it, man.
Heck yeah.
The guest rate here is almost
Love it.
Nothing.
Yeah, love it.
Sign me up. Sign
All
me
right,
up.
well,
All right, boys.
Thank you
Well,
so much.
go
Yeah,
take care of those
yeah,
little
will
babies,
do.
I'm going to put mine down right now.
and text me in 18 years.
We will make sure to include all of your information. To get our subscribers to go to the website. To use the code. Yeah, man. Thank you so much for your time and always a pleasure.
My pleasure.
You too.
Really good
You
talking
too.
to you guys.
Yeah,
Take
it was
care.
a pleasure. Thank you so much,
You're
buddy.
All right. Take care.